Hey everybody, Star 6 Wars 1 here, and welcome to another anime review. For this one, we look at a show I never thought I'd actually see, Shadow Star Narutaru. Okay, I bet some of you are curious to know why I'd even think about this show, especially after making a video about it almost a year back on why I wouldn't see it. Well, I saw some of the more negative comments on said video, and looked at the video again, and I thought I couldn't really complain about it without seeing it. And as of this point in my anime fandom, I see some pretty bad anime like EF A Tale of Melodies, All No Zero, Akame ga Kill, Mars of Destruction, and Canon No 2, to name a few. So I wanted to see Narutaru to see if I could justify how bad I heard it was. Was it as bad as I heard it was? Or was it good? No. This was a god-awful anime. One of the worst I've ever seen, and takes Melody's place as my most hated anime ever. Now, why is that? Well, that's what this review is for. A look at why I hate Narutaru, and why is it so awful. Because of the nature of this review, I will be going into some spoilers. So if for some god-unknown reason you want to see this, then don't see this review, as it will contain some spoilers. So with that said, let's kick off this review with the story. Our story begins with the main character, Sheena, finding a creature called Hoshimaru while visiting her grandparents. After returning home, she encounters another person named Akari, who has her own creature just like Hoshimaru. From there, our twisted adventure begins. Let's start with the nitpick that I have with the show. The creatures that are like Hoshimaru are called dragons. When I imagine a dragon, I think of a fire-breathing lizard-like creature with wings. Not some shape-shifting starfish-like creature, or one that looks like some kind of freaking angel. Yes, this is a nitpick, but it is something that bothered me throughout the entire anime. Now let's get into the actual problems of the story. First, there are a lot of plot holes and poor explanations in the story. Like in the first episode, we see some gray girl that seems important to the story, but we never find out who or what she is, or what her connection to Sheena is, which might have been important since she seems to have some sort of connection with Sheena, and before any of the fans say it was explained in the manga, yes, but I'm not talking about the manga. I'm talking about the anime, which never explains who or what she is. Sometimes you're lucky if the anime explains anything at all. There's at least 3 episodes that are also completely pointless and only serve as filler in a 12-episode series where, honestly, that's a game breaker. There are several plot points that are introduced out of nowhere and then go just as fast as they came into the story. And to top it all off, some plot points that seemed important just stopped right in the middle of the story and are never resolved. Added an ending that not only screams read the manga, but makes no sense at all, and you get an awful story. Oh god, the characters. Let's just get this started with the main character, Sheena. Sheena is a 12-year-old main character. We'll get back to that 12-year-old part in a minute. She is very active, very always optimistic, friendly, and incredibly dumb. Now, the positive traits are normally a good thing. They can have a character be happy and help with the enjoyment of a show. Sheena, however, takes it to a different level, shall we say. One time, she makes friends with another character and says that having friends makes everything better. Right after this other character explained her problems that her own dragon has caused her, and saying that she'd rather die than go through her problems. It felt like she completely ignored the fact that the other character is emotionally unstable and has pondered suicide. And just saying we are friends now and that will make everything better in this kind of anime, it makes you look stupid at best. There were times in the anime that I wondered if she was an outright sociopath, because of the way she acted throughout the story. Thankfully, I was proven wrong in certain scenes, but still. At one point in the story, a character was going to hurt her, and her dragon murdered this character, Aside from being more nervous of her dragon, it didn't seem to affect her, despite the fact she saw a person murdered in front of her. In this kind of anime, she needed to be more shaken that this happened. Instead, it left me wondering if she was a sociopath for the entire anime. To top it all off, when she isn't these things, she's annoying with her constant, "we can do this" attitude, and her almost ignoring of others' feelings. Overall, she could have been a good character, but instead she turned out to be a bad main character, and one I personally hate. Next, we have a girl by the name of Akari. She is a timid and fearful girl who, thanks to her own dragon, is emotionally unstable and nearly suicidal. Now, I briefly mentioned Akari when I was talking about Sheena, but honestly, she's sadly the only decent character of the entire series, and honestly, that's not saying much. The intention with her character is that she's supposed to feel sympathetic because of all that's happening to her. The problem is in execution. A lot of the time she comes off more trying to force you to feel bad for her instead of feeling bad that this is happening to her, which is ruining her character. To top it off, aside from these moments, she's an incredibly dull and uninteresting character. She's ruined by execution of her character, which is sad since she could have been a good character otherwise, and probably would have made up for Sheena. The rest of the cast are basically side characters, as the dragons have no personality of their own. The side characters are just awful, ranging from dull to annoying to outright hateable. Special mention goes to a side character named Aki Hondo, a 12-year-old student who puts another side character named Hikaru through hell by forcing her to swallow worms, only to throw it up again and raping Hiroko with a test tube. Yes, anime's kind of fucked up. Granted, Hiroko's dragon did everything back to her, but still, this kid did this, which many other anime villains wouldn't do, and they are older than her. Also, it's a bit of a stretch to see a 12-year-old do this kind of stuff. She's the worst example, but all of the characters are bad. Narutaru was made by a studio named Planet, who, I'm gonna be honest, hasn't made anything of note. The animation is painfully average. Unlike the story and characters, there's nothing horrible in terms of animation, but there's nothing good either. Backgrounds are noteworthy, the character design feels off with how skinny and tall they look, when the characters' ages don't match how they look, and the creature designs feel uninspired and kind of bland, with maybe one or two exceptions. Overall, while not horrible, the animation really isn't good either. The OST for Narutaru is made by Susumu Iuda. Again, if I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. Whose only other work that I've seen is from Re Cutie Honey. The OST is completely forgettable. I remember so little from the OST that it makes me talking about it kinda pointless. Then again, what I do remember from it is generic and bland anyway, so it's not good in either respect. The opening is so unfitting to what the series is that it's actually kind of hilarious in that respect. Otherwise, it's annoyingly catchy, emphasis on annoying, and it's sadly the best part of the anime. The ending theme is like what I remember from the OST, generic and bland. Aside from that, it's nothing of note. Now, how are the dub and sub for the series? Well, both are bad. The sub feels lazy and uninspired. It feels like none of the voices cared at all in the sub. Believe it or not though, the dub is worse. Combine the problem with the sub and add in annoying voices and bad pronunciations when you get to the dub, like pronouncing Hoshimaru as Hoshimaru. By the way, that's really, really stupid, by the way. It is god-awful, and somehow makes the anime worse than it already was, which is kind of an accomplishment. I have heard worse dubs, but in terms of annoying dubs, Narutaru has the most annoying dub I've heard from anime so far. If you decide to watch the show, stick with the sub, though it's not much better really either. Narutaru is one of the worst anime I've ever watched. The story is edgy, stupid, poorly explained, and boring. The characters range from bland to annoying to outright infuriating. The animation is bland and uninspired. The OST is generic at best. The opening is annoying. The ending is dull. The sub is boring. And the dub is the most annoying dub I've heard, on top of an already bad dub. And by the end, it's ultimately unsatisfying. In my original video, I had a few people call me out on how I acted, and that I'd only seen one scene. Because of these comments, I saw this anime and can now call it bad and justify it. It is one of the worst anime I've ever seen. I'd rather rewatch all my dropped anime and my most hated anime again than this ever again. I see nothing of value to this anime. Everything it brought up has been done better in other anime. Overall, it is a terrible anime and my new most hated anime ever. For those wanting recommendations to other anime, I point you towards Digimon Tamers, which is a kid's show that tackles some adult themes and is far better than Narutaru. And it's also a deconstruction of the same genre, but done, again, far better. My second recommendation is Madoka Magica, for yet another anime that is often called a deconstruction of the magical girl genre, and also has some dark themes and some similar characters to Narutaru, but is also done better. Between these two, I hope you find something to your liking, and better than Narutaru. Anyways, that's all from me. This has been Star 6 Wars 1, and I'll see you next time.